Hi, I'm Daniel, I'm a sleep physician, and if you're on Insomnia, this channel is for you. Dawn has had trouble sleeping for 28 years, but has made remarkable progress in the last 3 weeks. Waking up less, sleeping more, and most of all, this is changing his life to the better. In this episode, we will take a look at how he has done this and how someone like Dawn can take those final steps towards completely getting past insomnia. Super excited having you back here. This is episode 235 and it is one of those good ones when we're talking about somebody who's making remarkable progress. Lots to learn here, and before we jump in, actually, shout out to Of Course, who told me about the settings on the Yeti, and I have it on the I think they call it carotid mode here, and I think before I had it tilted. I hope the sound is going to be better. By the way, Jake, one of the viewers many months ago, told me about making a playlist. That was super helpful. Another one told me change your name to something with insomnia, so I did it. So all these tips are super helpful. So that said, let's jump in here. Don connected with me July 29th, and he mentioned early on that he'd had trouble sleeping for 28 years. The first reply to him was episode 222. You can check that out. He's also asked me some great questions about a type B personality and like this cooling device, and he also mentioned that he slept better with bedtime restriction than Klonopin. And so, you know, very early on, things were very encouraging. And then yesterday I actually made this kind of podcast episode, and I had overlooked a comment from Don, and I saw that. I was like, we really got to hone in on this one. This is really, really encouraging. So I got this message. Let's see where it is. Here it is, yesterday. So this is like 3 to 4 weeks after me and Don had connected. Hi, Daniel. Just wanted to give you a quick update. Since applying bedtime restriction, my time in bed has decreased by 2 hours. My number of times I wake has decreased from 4 to 6 to 2. My total sleep has increased from 45 hours to 6.5 to 7 hours. One additional technique I have added was to repeat to myself, I am a great sleeper throughout the day and when I awake. Anyways, I would like to thank you for all of your hard work and advice. It is really changing my life. Listen to that. This is amazing. 28 years of insomnia and 3 weeks into, I think, primarily using bedtime restriction, spending less time in bed, building a strong sleep drive, the techniques I always talk about here. Real progress here. Super nice to hear. Now, we have a lot to talk about here, actually. I made a list for myself. So the first one is, this is, of course, super inspiring. For most people, it takes longer to achieve this type of progress. Just so everybody's aware, definitely there are people just like Dawn who have had insomnia for decades and have dramatic improvement, but on the flip side, you can have had trouble sleeping for like 3 weeks and it takes you 2 months to kind of reach where Dawn is. So you never know, but so just keep that in mind. And we'll actually get back to that point in a second here. Now, what did I want to talk about? Something. Yes, so sorry about the little brain hang up there. One thing that I thought was really important was the following, that almost everyone that starts using the techniques I talk about on this channel has a setback. You know, it can be as early as like, you know, I did well for a day or two and then things just like went back to the way they were before. Mostly I feel like people you know, start noticing some improvement like week 1, maybe week 2, and then, you know, and then just like can't sleep for like 3 days or something like that. If that happens to you, Don, or anybody else that is in like has noticed early progress, know that that's completely expected. You know, it's kind of the insomnia like fighting back. It wants your attention, you know. So if that happens, know that it's normal and just keep moving forward. Try to treat it as like a hiccup, you know. Try to just move forward and go, and don't change anything. Definitely don't change anything, because if you start changing things, then you can go into that like tailspin, like that rabbit hole thing where you just tweak things and try to do things. So that's a big one that I wrote down. Now, another thing I want to comment on was the what Don's saying here about, like, I tell myself I'm a great sleeper. Affirmation, I read somewhere, I can't remember what it was, but if we tell ourselves something we don't believe in, like if we start telling ourselves that, the earth is flat, just write it down and tell us, we tend to start believing it just a little bit, just by saying it. It's like, that's how affirmations work, and so I've heard from Sasha Stevens' books and from other people that affirmations really help. There are other people who feel like it's not for them at all, like it feels kind of false to them to use them, but really happy it's worked for you, Don, and something that other people definitely should consider, affirmations. So I want to comment on that. Now, one thing I often talk about is like focusing on the positive, which Don totally is, and it's in a way easy for Don because there are so many positives, which is fantastic. But the reason, if you're having like not, it's more of a struggle. There are some positives, but it's really like things are not falling into place quite yet. Try to focus on the positive still, because that it's kind of like the affirmation. It kind of builds sleep confidence. Like when we focus on the positive, like, yeah, that night I slept good, or I fell asleep a little quicker, and things like that. It builds sleep confidence. Super, super important. So I want to comment on that. And another thing here is that I mentioned in the intro was, how do you get kind of like what's next, if you will? Well, first of all, I think in your case, Don, like I think, at this stage, which is still early, the best thing is just like keep moving forward. Like, just don't change anything, just keep moving forward. But once you reach, like, if things have been pretty stable for actually, let me rephrase that. I'll put it this way: once you understand like the CBTI techniques, once you feel like I don't need any more information, I understand everything, which typically takes maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks, like that. Already then, it's good to start like shifting attention away from sleep. Not trying to find other tricks or tweaks or like things to do, but rather try to just set it and forget it. Like, okay, I'm going to go to bed this time, I'm going to get up at this time, and I understand why I have insomnia, I know what I need to do, but other than that, try to shift attention. And that could be like if somebody has a lot of time, not so much daytime obligations, then you can take on a big project, like, learn how to play the trombone, or like bake something new every day, something like that. If you don't have that much time, then find something, some little thing to do. But just have things that are shifting your attention away from sleep is the beginning of like really phasing away from insomnia. And the goal, of course, is to be at a point where people that don't have insomnia are at, where you don't even think about sleep at all. So I think that's a good point to make, like that, shifting attention away from insomnia is really the kind of final steps towards completely moving past insomnia. And then finally, and this is a big one too, is you did this, Don. On this channel, you've gotten some, kind of like pointers, you've been shown kind of the path, but you have done the work. And that's so powerful, because it wasn't any external thing. It wasn't like a drug or medication or something like that made you sleep better. It was you. That, if anything, should build real strong sleep confidence. All right? So super, super happy, Don. I hope other people find inspiration and hope here. And anybody has a question, please leave a comment or send me an email, daniel@insomniainsight.co, and I shall be back tomorrow. Until then, stay out of trouble.